Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Alexa, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys 25 books that I want to read in 2025. I ended up reading 135 books last year, and I set my Goodreads goal for 150 books this year. Will I reach that? Only time will tell. But with all that being said, given my reading history and my reading goals, reading these 25 books is well within reach for me. So what I'm trying to say is that I have no excuse not to read these 25 books this year. I have split all 25 of these books into 4 different categories. The first category is new releases coming out in 2025. The second category are standalone books that I own physically, so like they're not part of a series. The third category are final books in a series, meaning after I read each of these books, I will have completed a respective book series. And the fourth category is books that are already out, but I just don't own them physically, but I've had my eye on them and I'm really wanting to get to them in 2025. So let's jump right in. I'm gonna start with books that are coming out this year, and I'm going to go through this kind of quickly because I did already mention a lot of these books in my recent video where I talked about my most anticipated releases for 2024 and 2025. I will link that video down below if you guys want to check that out and hear me talk about these books a little bit more in depth. But the first one is a highly anticipated book for many people, and it is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. This is coming out on January 21st, and this is the third installment of the Empyrean? Guys, help me out. I don't know how to say this word. Empyrean series, whatever it's called. The infamous Dragon School fantasy book series. I really enjoyed the first book. I struggled my way through the second book, and I have no idea how I'm gonna feel about the third book, but only time will tell. That is like my phrase of the day. I'm gonna keep saying it. The next book is Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonam-Young, and this is coming out on January 28th. One of the first books that I finished this year was Out on a Limb by this same author, and it was an immediate 5-star. So I'm going back for seconds. I need to read this book, and additionally, the title is also a Taylor Swift song title, and not only is it a Taylor Swift song title, but it's a song off of my favorite Taylor Swift album, so I'm gonna be reading this book. From what I gathered, this is pretty much about high school sweethearts who are facing a situation where the female main character wants to set out to achieve a goal by herself without help from her significant other, but he goes behind her back and helps her achieve this goal without her knowing. And so I think it's about that whole situation and them hopefully working through said situation. It's a very unique sounding romance book plot, so I'm sold. The next book is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. This is coming out on February 4th. I'm not even that big of an Ali Hazelwood fan, to be completely honest, but for whatever reason, when she has a new book, I have to read it. I guess I just get like FOMO if I don't read them. I don't really know, but I'm gonna be reading this book regardless. I don't know too much about this. All I know is that it is a swimmer romance. I've never read something like that, so we'll see. It could be good. The next book, if I could wish any of these new releases into my hands immediately right now, it would be this one. It is Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. This is the third book in the Skyland series. The first book is Before I Let Go, and then the second book is This Could Be Us. So this is the third book. The first book follows the main female character, and she has 2 best friends in that book. The second book is following one of those best friends, and then the third book is going to follow the other best friend. In my opinion, this series has been absolutely phenomenal thus far, and so I expect nothing less from this book. The next book is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, and this is going to be coming out on March 18th. I have been a Hunger Games fan since the birth of those books, so this is just another highly anticipated continuation in a favorite series of mine. The next book is Fearless by Lauren Roberts, and this comes out on April 8th. I feel like everybody talks about the Powerless series by Lauren Roberts. This is going to be the final book in that series, I think. It's following various characters of different social statuses as they go through these deadly trials. Little romantasy thrown in there. I haven't read the second book in this series just yet, but it may or may not be on one of the upcoming lists So more on that later. The next book is Great Big Beautiful World by Emily Henry. This is coming out on April 22nd. This book sounds so interesting. I love when there are book related elements woven into the plot. This is basically a story about two writers who are competing for the chance to write about this woman who apparently has an interesting story to tell, but she feeds both of them different information about her story. She's kind of testing them to see who will win the rights to writing their story, but who's to say? We're just gonna have to wait until April 22nd to find out. The next book is Love Arranged by Lauren Asher, and this is coming out on May 13th. This is a continuation of the Lakefront Billionaires series, kind of just like a home renovation romance series. And this book is going to be following Lorenzo and Lily, I believe. And the last and final book for this category is My Friends by Fredrik Backman. I think that I am going to absolutely love this book. It sounds like it's about these four friends and an artist who paints a painting of them. We're also learning about these four friends as the story progresses, and then somebody ends up in possession of this painting of these four friends, and the person who has possession of this painting wants to know the origins of it and find the people that are in the painting. So I think it's just about friendship and connections and the impact that we can leave on others. Now, this is a lofty statement, but I feel like this book has the potential to become one of my favorite books of all time, but only time will tell. All right, moving on to the next category, which is standalone books that I have physical copies of. First book is James by Percival Everett. This was the 2024 Barnes & Noble Book of the Year. There are a lot of books out there, and so I feel like to be Barnes & Noble's favorite book of the year is like a pretty impressive title in my opinion. So yeah, I don't really know who picks that or like how that is decided, what criteria they're basing off of it. I really have no idea. But even outside of that, I have heard amazing things about this book. So I think that I just need to crack it open and give it a read. If you don't know what this book is about, it is a reimagining of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, but it is told from the perspective of Jim. But you know what? I just realized I haven't even read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, so I guess I'll have to read that first. But nonetheless, I will be reading this in 2025. The next book is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, and my boyfriend has been reading stacks and stacks of books off of my bookshelf that I chose for him, and he has been asking me to read this book for a while now, so I think the least I could do is read this book off of his bookshelf in exchange for all of the books he's read off of my bookshelf. This is, I guess, the prequel to Lord of the Rings. I think this is just about a little guy who's a hobbit. It's probably a lot more complex than that, but the truth is, I am intimidated by this book, but I think once I get over that, I'm gonna like it. I love a good map in the beginning of a book, so that's already a good sign. The next book is Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, and I actually put this book in my very first YouTube video a little over a year ago, so I've had this book for over a year now, and I think it's time. I'm going to read it in 2025. It is about a woman who is going through a lot of stuff with her family, and she starts working a night shift at an aquarium where she meets a wise talking octopus and forms an unlikely friendship with him, and the octopus tries to help her work out all of the family drama that she's got going on. The next book, similarly to the previous book, I also showed in my very first YouTube video over a year ago, The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. Gabrielle Zevin wrote one of my favorite books, which is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. And so really it comes down to, why am I not reading more books by her? Here we go. This book is about a grumpy owner of a bookstore who is going through a difficult time. His bookshop is failing, he's lost his wife, and a rare first edition book from his shop has been stolen. But then a 2-year-old named Maya comes into his life and everything changes. I've heard that this is charming and funny and heartwarming, so why would I not want to pick up this book? The next book is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I have been wanting to start this series for ages now. I think I'm just intimidated by the length of this series and all of the hype that it gets, but I'm just gonna forget about all of that, read this book, and hopefully enjoy it. The final book in this category is The Life of Pi by Yann Martel. So the reason that this book is on my 25 books for 2025 list is The Life of Pi musical is coming to LA either this summer or this fall. I can't remember when. Sometime in the second half of the year. And so I kind of had this silly little idea to read the book and see the musical and watch the movie. I just thought that would be fun because I feel like there's not that many stories where I could say that I've read the book and seen the musical and watched the movie. So that's the goal here. All right, the next category are final books in a series or just catching up on series that I need to get caught up with. You guys already knew that this was coming. Reckless by Lauren Roberts. So this is the second book, and then Fearless is the third book. We're gonna read both of them. I'm gonna finish out this series in 2025. Next book is Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher. So we've got this book, and then we've got Love Arranged coming out. So I will read those two, and I will also be caught up on the Lakefront Billionaires series. The next book is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is the second book in the Better Than the Movies series. I don't really have much to say about this. I just want to read this series. I want to finish it. I want to see what happens with Liz and Wes. And the final book in this category is Bad Blood by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the final book in the Natural series. I sometimes have a hard time finishing TV shows or book series that I enjoyed because I don't want it to be over, but I just need to finish this series. It's the final book and I'm going to read it in 2025. All right, moving on to my final category, which is books that I don't have physically, but I really want to read in 2025. All these books have been on my radar for a little while now, and I just need to make them happen. The first book is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I read his other popular space book. What is it called? Oh, The Martian, and I really liked that book. It made me want to read more sci-fi books. So there we go. I really want to read this book. I think this book is pretty much about an astronaut who wakes up in the middle of space with no memory of what happened or how they got there. And then it turns out that they're like supposed to save the world or something. Sounds pretty interesting to me. The next book is Beartown by Fredrik Backman. I've had my eye on this book for quite some time, but I've just been a little bit intimidated to read it because I know a lot of people say it's super emotional. But I read Anxious People by Fredrik Backman and I absolutely loved that book. So why am I not reading more of his books? Let's be real. I'm not going to allow myself to be intimidated by this book any longer. I will be reading it in 2025. It's pretty much about a small town whose livelihood depends on the hockey team and pretty much all of the complexities that come with relying on a hockey team for your town's livelihood. The next book I want to read in 2025 that I don't have physically is Wicked. Who is the author of Wicked? Gregory Maguire. I had zero interest in Wicked and then I saw the movie and like many people became obsessed with it. So much like The Life of Pi, I would love to have read the book, seen the musical, and watched the movie. The next book is Wild Love by Elsie Silver, and I have been wanting to pick up an Elsie Silver book for forever now, but I just don't know if her other series particularly appeal to me. People say that they like them so much, but I just have this weird feeling that I'm not gonna like them. But I do think I'm gonna like this series, which I think is her newest series. So I'm gonna give Elsie Silver a try this year. We're gonna read this first book, see what I think, see if I want to read more of her books. She could become a new favorite author of mine, or this may be the first and last book that I read of hers. All right, the final book on my 25 books for 2025 is, drumroll please, my one and only nonfiction pick for this list is The Secret Life of Groceries by Benjamin Lore. This is like the most random note to end this video on, but I have always been fascinated with grocery stores and markets and just the food industry in general. Profits and transportation and logistics, all of it perplexes me, and so I feel like this would be an incredibly interesting read for me. It's a very niche interest that I feel like nobody else is really interested in, but maybe other people are interested in this too. I don't know. If you are, please let me know I'm not the only one. And with that being said, that is the final book on my list of 25 books that I want to read in 2025. If you guys liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below letting me know anything you want to let me know. Also, feel free to follow me on Instagram and make sure that you are subscribed so that you can see more videos from me in the future. But for now, that is all, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! Back to the drawing board. I have to sneeze. Allergies are going crazy today. There's literally a bug on my iPad. Not cool. Oh, there's a bookmark in here. I need some Benadryl.